Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah, the lovely Leah, and Michelle.
The lovely Michelle.
But that doesn't, that's
the
not...
magnificent Michelle, the moving Michelle.
You have to, the moving?
The marvelous Michelle.
The alliteration.
Yeah, my computer's covered with little black hairs.
So,
it's gonna be a great episode.
Today is the 16th of August. It's a Friday. It's
Michelle's
our weekly roundup.
We're going to Espstein. Did he hang himself? His neck broke. His neck broke in a way that would assume that he was killed, but the forensic pathologist has said he hurled himself off the top bunk and broke his neck and killed himself. So Dr. Cyril Wetch claimed Friday that the fractures in Jeffrey Epstein's neck could have happened if he hurled himself off the top bunk. And he would have had to, like, dive because it's 5 feet. I guess you would have had to, like, lean forward off the top bunk. So she told guest Charles Payne that Wetch, a guest on Your World with Neil Cavuto, told guest host Charles Payne that a number of details that had leaked with regard to the convicted pedophile's autopsy report didn't add up. So I'm gonna play this to see.
Lasta on Pro. Pay no more.
Totally gonna get an ad here. Okay, here we go. Hang on.
An apparent suicide. I want to go back to forensic pathologist Cyril Wecht. He joins us now. Doctor, you really do not believe, though, from what you know, the idea that perhaps Espstein knelt, tied this noose around his neck from the bed sheets, knelt from his bedpost, and that it created the injuries that we do know about. You do not think those two things are compatible?
Hey, Holly.
I do not believe that a kneeling position with the bed sheet tied to the bedpost and the absence of force that would have been imparted from hurling himself from a top bunk would have provided sufficient force to fracture the hyoid bone and also fractures of the cervical vertebrae. We do not know, and I'm waiting to see this report, how many vertebrae, cervical vertebrae, there are 7, come down from the back of your neck to the bony prominence at the base of your neck. Those are 7 cervical vertebrae. So we want to find out how many of those were broken. You do not get fractures of the cervical vertebrae and of the hyoid bone high up here under the mandible with somebody tying a sheet to a bedpost and leaning forward. You can see there's no force, there's no velocity. There's basic physics formula. Force equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared. The mass is his head, fine, and the velocity. And this business about brittleness, you're not a 70, 75-year-old
Let me just ask, though, because if he did this from the top bunk, considering his body weight, you mentioned earlier, 200 pounds off the top bunk, there's already reports out that these marks look like bed sheets. Could then it have been possible?
Yes, if he hurled himself off the top bunk, that force would have made it possible to fracture the cervical vertebrae and the hyoid bone. If they can show in reconstructing that scene that that is what happened. I would say that is a possibility, still raises questions, but I think it falls within the realm of physical possibility with that kind of force present in the scenario that would work with.
So let me also ask, because there are some reports leading up to today suggesting also in the haste, once the body was discovered, that certain things may have been done. You know, a rush. Hey, you see the body laying there. Could those kind of things have changed or influenced what these marks and some of these other things? Just trying to retrieve the body.
No. I understand. No, the hastiness, the retrieval of the body and so on, no, I cannot envision how those actions would have produced some anatomical changes such as we have been talking about. No, I do not see that at all. It would have been damaging possibly to the retrieval of other evidence, DNA, physical evidence, trace evidence, but not the anatomical structures in the neck, anterior and posterior. No, that would not have happened.
So, you know, it's just really weird. The coroner has come out and said, breaking news, Espstein has killed himself by hanging himself. The New York City medical examiner ruled Espstein's death a suicide. The medical examiner's official office said in a statement Friday that an autopsy and other evidence confirms he hung himself in his cell. Espstein was found hanging in his cell from his bunk bed with a prison bedsheet wrapped around his head. He is 6 feet tall, reportedly secured the bedsheet to the top bunk bed and wrapped the sheet around his neck. Many close to Espstein fear he was murdered, and CBS News, citing an unnamed source, also reported on Tuesday that shrieking and shouting was heard from Espstein's cell on the morning of his death. The source also said they heard correction officers saying, "Breathe, Espstein, breathe," while trying to revive him. Now, Alex Jones was on Louder with Crowder today, which I found incredibly intriguing, so you guys can go watch that, where he said people do yell that when they're strangling someone to, you know, it's kind of weird.
What?
Espstein had several broken bones in his neck, which is common in homicide by strangulation. Among the broken bones in Espstein's neck was the hyoid bone, which can be broken during hanging if the individual is older. However, it is more common in a homicide by strangulation, according to forensic experts. The top forensic pathologist, Dr. Sir Retch, said only 1% of hanging deaths resulted in the break of the hyoid bones. Espstein was found dead a day after the documents were unsealed, implicating several elites and Democrats, including Al Gore and former Governor Bill Richardson. Bill Clinton was good friends with Espstein, and so it's a weird situation because you've got
He said that his body's been claimed by an
family.
unnamed associate.
So he's not really old for those neck bones to break. A lot of people are saying online that it's hard to break those bones. And to me, I'm not going to rule out anything, but Espstein had dirt on people. Why? What? He had all the money in the world. He could fight this. He wasn't facing the death penalty. He was facing life in prison. Why not wait and see if your lawyers can get you off like they did before? He was facing facing a lot of charges.
Off, they can get a lot of people off.
He was facing charges before, and he spent like 12 months. He had to go sleep in the jail, and he was out on work release.
Right.
What makes it so that he had a lot of reasons to live? From what I understand, people who visited him said that he was in good spirits.
Here's the deal also. I would think, and this is just me in my twisted brain, but if I was Espstein and I had all this dirt on all of these huge figures.
And that's the key right there.
I mean, you could cut a plea deal. I mean, there is no end to the plea deals that he could have cut, okay? On probably multiple counts. I mean, he probably could have seen very little punishment considering the dirt that he had on all of these huge names and huge figures. So I would be sitting
some
pretty
big deals that he could really.
I would have been like, you know, I'm Espstein. I know all this stuff, so you can't touch me. Well, but they can kill you.
Get this. Jeffrey Espstein met with a young... Wow, what's playing? Stop.
Hang on, because I guess Maia made a really good point here. I didn't see Maia's comment, but I saw Jesus's comment. Says, you're right, narcissists do not commit suicide. And they don't. And I think that Espstein was a narcissist. He was
not a man in deep depression. Okay?
Yeah.
He was not a man who thought, oh my gosh, my life is over. All right, he knew so many people. He had ways to get out.
That's such a great point. Narcissists do not commit suicide. They are so obsessed with themselves. They are so confident. They are so even obsessed with the fame that would come from something like this. Yeah. That he would not have done this. This man did not commit suicide.
Jeffrey Espstein met with young woman after removal from suicide watch. Alleged child sex trafficker Jeffrey Espstein, who was found dead over the weekend, was reportedly locked in a meeting room with a young woman one day after the millionaire criminal was removed from the suicide list.
And who was this young woman?
In an interview with Forbes, an attorney who was asked not to be identified said Espstein and the young woman were together in the room, typically reserved for inmates and their lawyers, for at least 2 hours.
You're joking.
The optics were startling because she was young and pretty.
Who was she, though?
The magazine. The attorney suggested the woman may have been a lawyer, a hooker lawyer. He said he visited the Manhattan Correctional Center on July 30th, one day after the disgraced investor was reportedly removed from the jail suicide watch and later transferred to the special housing unit. Do you understand? Espstein knew how to get things done. He could even get himself a sex bot in jail. Okay, he was that powerful.
His lawyer says if I was him, I would have hired an old bald guy, to kind of make it look like, listen, I didn't do this. This isn't who I am. But if you're obsessed and addicted.
Yeah, exactly.
Patriot Gallery says that she thinks that it was the demons inside of him that made him kill himself.
Maybe. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know when the last time we talked to you. I think Wednesday. So I think I told you guys Wednesday the updates where supposedly the guards fell asleep. Both of them fell asleep. So yeah, that's not buying it. Not a thing. So
Leslie says on Facebook, just admit America is corrupt and they bumped him off to save their own skin. Okay, first of all, the Clintons don't represent all of America. I take offense to that. Like, seriously. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's our guys. We love you. God loves you. God bless. If you want to send us your letters, P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. We will read them on air unless otherwise notified. So we'll see you back here on Sunday, 2 days from now, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news. It's going to be a good show. Britt Baza has been telling me in the chat that he sent us a message that it would seem that Farage, your favorite Britain mine, has taken up the flagship of fighting the Islamification of the UK. That should be very interesting. I can't wait to check that out. So we shall see. All right, you guys. Good night. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday and Saturday, and we'll see you Sunday. I was cold all alone. No place